Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Today we have two of the big names in remote services who are with us. Troy Blackwell from Zapmoto is here, and a great retailer from the Roundtable, Nolan Armpriester, Twin Pine Ford of Hamburg. Troy and Nolan, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you so much.
Hey Ted, how are you?
Troy, good to see you. Good to see you, Nolan. I think the last time the three of us got together, it was in Manhattan at that World Trade Center event. Exciting stuff, Nolan, to see you on the panel with all those other. How many people, Nolan, are in mobile services, and all the progress that's even happened, Nolan, since then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fantastic time just to be surrounded by so many great people in the industry. And like you said, remote services are just continuing to grow. So, very exciting time.
Now, Troy, at the time, I think we probably spend a little more time on the mobile service side. But Troy, Zapmoto is in the service pickup and delivery part of the business, and that is growing in leaps and bounds. Tell us about that, and congratulations to you, Troy, on coming over to Zapmoto.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and thanks Ted for the intro there. Yeah, I'm very excited to be a part of Zapmoto, and as you mentioned, they really started around this whole pickup and delivery. Kudos to Ford, really as an OE who is supporting the dealerships and helping them look at things a little bit differently, and they kind of tackled this pickup and delivery and mobile service. So Zapmoto really created some software around helping the dealers manage that piece of it. And we've got an incredible chief technology officer who was one of the original guys from Grubhub. And so you can imagine coming from outside of automotive industry, but really around logistics and how does that all work and maneuver. So very glad to be a part of this. I'm still talking to the same great customers like Nolan and partner. And this really isn't me selling software. It's really leaning on people that are really good operators. I've had great success with mobile service and just putting some things in front of them, saying, "Hey, would this help you?" And that's kind of where I'm at today with Zapmoto.
Troy, I think for this, in the middle of 2026, for dealers to be awakened to remote services, it takes the kind of thinking you just described from outside the car business with other things that we use in our lives, like that pickup and delivery from other industries that we've all become accustomed to. And Troy, applying that now to automotive because it's going on elsewhere. And now you're taking those same technologies and applying it to the retail dealership.
Yeah, there's so many things that happen in a dealership world on that service lane, and you walk in and they're talking to a customer, they're answering a phone, they're heads down in a computer too. So whatever we can do to help make that a little bit easier, and talk to them. We don't have all the answers, but we'll certainly lean on someone like Nolan and say, "Hey, walk me through your process. Let's stand back and observe what a day to day looks like with your service advisors and BDC, and what can we do to help with that." So, but again, it's great working with someone like Nolan who is really, as we've called him in the past, I think we've called him the Prince because Jim Sabino has this whole King of the North, and Nolan really is the Prince, up there in the Northeast.
Prince Nolan, you told me when I first met you that the future growth of dealerships is going to happen outside of the dealership's walls. Is that still true today?
100%. I think even more so at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's find out what you've been up to because you launched Zapmoto earlier this year.
hmm
And since launching, Nolan, where have you seen the biggest impact? Whether it's efficiency, is it customer service, is it revenue? Take us to it.
I think the biggest measurable impacts have been in both revenue and customer satisfaction. I think the difference between a pickup and delivery repair order at our store and just a customer coming in off the street is about a $200 lift per repair order with pickup and delivery, which is just massive. On top of that, the customer satisfaction portion of it, I know you and I have talked about this before, Ted, but people don't want to come into the dealerships necessarily anymore and sit there. So this is a nice alternative to mobile service. Some people still aren't necessarily on the boat of having somebody come to their house and do their service, but this is another alternative where we can come pick up the vehicle, bring it back to the store, get it serviced for them, and drop it back off. And Zapmoto has just been fantastic in assisting in that.
So Nolan, that uplift in the revenue, you mentioned approximately $200 per repair order. We had heard that when we first started hearing about pickup and delivery from Brian Benstock. Nolan, so that's still true today.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I was even a little shocked when we first started seeing the results on the dashboard with Zapmoto. Just the uplift that we're seeing with pickup and delivery over a customer coming in it's remarkable.
Troy, that is remarkable, and that's maybe one of the hidden gems in these remote services, in being able to get that kind of dollar amount, those extra dollars. I guess because it's convenient now, and the dealership has the customer's vehicle to work on.
Yeah, yeah, and think about it, Ted. We're north of 130 Ford dealerships today, helping them with pickup and delivery. And no
Oh, really?
surprise, we're seeing and hearing that similar results to what Nolan's seeing from an uptick with RO. And it's not because the dealerships haven't executed with the customers that are in the store. Think about it. Nolan just said, as much as they want them to come in and sit down in their lobby and have coffee, they're usually anxious to get out of there. And so what happens is that service advisor comes and presents them their findings and says, hey, while we had your car back here, we found this, 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 and this. Well, that customer is just going decline, decline, decline because they're anxious to get the car and get out of there. Now, the pickup and
Hmm.
delivery helps because they're at their home turf, they're in their house, they're maybe at work, and the dealership's calling them and saying, hey, by the way, we found this while you have your car here. And we're finding customers saying, go ahead and take care of that while the car's there. And I don't know why that is. I mean, I have my own versions of why I think that might be, but we're seeing it across the board. And so it's very similar to the results that Nolan is seeing.
So Nolan, if I'm home in my living room, I'm more inclined to say yes. Go ahead with what the technician saw. Take care of that. I guess for the convenience factor, right? And I don't have to go back to the dealership, and I'm already in my living room.
Right. Yeah, I think Troy nailed it. I mean, customers that are in the waiting area are traditionally anxious to leave, right? They want to get their vehicle, they want to pay their bill, they want to leave the dealership. When you present them with, exceptions that you find in the shop, and it might be 2 hours of additional work, they don't necessarily always have the stomach to sit in the waiting area for another 2 hours. So when they're already at home, it's an easy sell to them. Nothing changes on their end. It just delays us getting their car back for an additional 2 hours. So it just makes the selling process a little easier for advisors, and it takes away the anxious feeling of a customer sitting in the waiting area.
Nolan, as I mentioned, you're already very experienced in these remote services. What's one thing that may have surprised you since investing into this now service pickup and delivery arena, full fledged?
Well, I think we've always done pickup and delivery here. We were kind of forced. Our hand was forced with a lot of customers over the years. But just the support that Ford gives to it is great. But
Okay.
the onboarding with Zapmoto, I got to say, was one of the cleanest and easiest onboarding processes. We might have had 2 meetings in total before we officially launched with it, and it was just a very smooth transaction. It integrated with our DMS right away. It's just very, very easy, much easier than we had anticipated.
Troy, from your perspective?
Yeah, no, the integration's important. I think that, I've been on both sides of the table here, guys. So, and I think, my background, 25 years of retail myself, and then on the vendor supplier partner side. And, being an operator at a dealership level, it's so important that there is that integration where you can. If you can make it happen and make it easier so that a service advisor isn't keying into one software and then having to jump over and key into another software into the DMS. It's a lot of duplicate entry, and we really are trying to avoid a lot of that where we can. So that integration for us is important. So we have great DMS partners that we work with, and all the big ones, of course, from Reynolds to CDK to Techion and Dealer Track and others that we jump in and out of. So it's been great to work with them as well.
Troy, without giving away the secret sauce of the software, tell us some of the things that you're able to do for the dealer. I imagine one of those things might be the tracking component where the customer can, let's say, see where their vehicle is, or what are some of the things that you add that a dealership couldn't do on their own?
Yeah, no, great question. And I think it's a couple things. One is when we sit down with guys like Nolan and talk to them, they may already have porters, they may already have LA. We're not here to replace them. If they want to keep that program in place, we're going to give them the software to make it and manage it a little bit easier for them. If they're in a position where they're saying, hey, I'm really struggling with consistency of hiring of LA or porters, could you guys take this on? And in some cases, we do. We take that on. We have over 2,000 drivers across the nation that are on our platform today.
Wow.
And so think of it like a Lyft or Uber experience where they jump into our platform and then go and pick these cars up. We insure them. We insure the car, the driver, and that's another big thing that dealers quite often may not look at. And when they dig into, oh my God, I got to go drive a customer's car, the insurance is killing me. Believe me, we have a heavy insurance cost here, but with that, we're just trying to make it easy and simple and convenient for our dealer partners. So whichever way they want to go, if they, like I said, they want to use internal associates, great. If they need our help to staff it, we're there to help support that as well. But Ted, what we normally do is we take the schedule that the customers are already on coming into the shop, and about 4 days ahead of time, we're saying, hey, Mr. Customer, you have a appointment coming up at 4 o'clock on Thursday. Would you
Okay.
be interested in pickup and delivery? And it's a service AI agent that's doing that via text. And the customers are saying, yes, yeah, you know what? Go, yeah, that sounds great. And so what it helps is it helps Nolan from not having to have a BDC to make all these calls. It's a texting
Oh, that's
experience, and customers are coming in and out, and whether they want to come down to the store or us come to them, it's helping Nolan free up those bays for bigger jobs.
so Nolan. The customer can make their appointment, if you will, and then not have to decide on all this. But later on, as you get closer to that appointment, now this is offered in many cases.
Yeah, and the percentage of acceptance is pretty staggering. It's just
Wow.
it's a very passive offering to them. They don't feel forced either way, and just the amount of people that accept it has been really impressive so far. So we're looking to see how big we can grow this thing this year. But I really think that this is another avenue in addition to mobile service that just continues to drive revenue and retention and customer satisfaction to the store.
Do you envision this as being something where once the customer has service pickup and delivery, you know where I'm going, that they're going to always want service pickup and delivery now?
I believe they will. Yeah, I
Wow.
believe they will. I think our waiting areas may become a thing of the past at some point.
Yeah, and I think there's three version. There's always the version of, like Nolan mentioned this at the beginning. There's customers will still want to come down to the dealership, and that's fine. And there's some customers that will want to have a mobile experience, and that's great as well. And then there's some that will just decide, hey, go ahead and do a pickup and delivery. It is helping even outside of Ford. Think about
Yes.
Mercedes Benz
Yes.
that has, in most cases, Mercedes, BMW. When you sell a car, you're supposed to give them a loaner car. Well, these luxury stores have as many as 200 loaner cars in fleet. And most of the time, think about that experience. Customer comes down to the store, drops off their car, fills out paperwork for a loaner car, gets in the loaner car, and just drives it to work, and it sits in a parking lot all day,
Yes.
right? While their car's being repaired. Well, what if we would just go out and pick up that customer's car? Um, pick it up, deliver it for service, and they're at work, and we don't even have to do this whole, loaner car experience. So we can help in some cases for these luxury locations to reduce some of their loaner cars as well.
And Troy, there's fewer loaner cars than there ever were because I remember, going back 3, 4 years, Nolan, the dealer where I went, always had that loaner car. Now it seems to have dried up. Okay. There's not as many. And you're right, Troy. I don't need the car. I mean, I just need to get dropped, or have somebody come get it and, drop the vehicle off. I don't need to be the one, who's, driving around in that loaner car all day. Plus that's got to be an expensive proposition, Troy, for the dealer to have all these cars.
I've talked to some dealers and they can around some numbers, and in some markets, it's as much as 500,000 a month in expense when you look at the depreciation and everything of that asset in that fleet. So it's a pretty big, large cost center for these dealers to manage, and it's just an alternative way to look at. So, um, again, as I said at the beginning, kudos to Ford for kind of leading the way, but I think other OEs will start looking at things like this. I know Hyundai has taken note of a pickup and delivery piece as well.
And Nolan, I know you're Ford, but outside of Ford, like like Troy is saying, um, I would imagine there's really no inhibitors to now doing service pickup and delivery, regardless of the brand, because that's something the customer's going to like.
I agree. I think most dealerships have been doing this, right? I mean, I remember 15, 20 years ago going and picking up customers' cars for them. It's just that it never was an official offering. So I think now that dealerships are understanding that, giving a customer a remote experience and making the ease of transaction seamless, I think you'll see all manufacturers start pivoting towards things like this.
Yeah, and I don't know what the threshold is from a customer standpoint. Today most of the Fords support it; they're not charging customers for this
Right.
service. Now there may be a threshold for you go outside a certain amount of miles, and what is that charge? I think a customer is willing to pay for a service like this. Now, what that number is, I don't know. I don't know if it's 20, $25 or whatever it may be for that service, but some of the dealers you're talking to is, let's take a step back and think about it together. And maybe it's not a true cost and expense to you. Maybe it can be shared.
Nolan Armpriester is one of the great retail minds in our industry, and I know, Nolan, when you helped pioneer the mobile service side, you found a lot of opportunities that were not obvious. That well, maybe to others, but to you they were okay, and you capitalized on them. So now that you are in the service pickup and delivery game, are there any opportunities that you have seen or that you're exploring additional opportunities because of the availability of pickup and delivery?
Yeah, I think one that, and we're actually working with Zapmoto on this, is just the service acquisition piece as well with Zap. Sending those same customers a message about acquiring their vehicle when it comes into service, giving an appraisal out. I think obviously with the way vehicles are priced at the auction these days, the best place to buy a vehicle is off the street. And I think, really focusing on service acquisition for 2026 and beyond is going to be huge for us. And partnering with Zap has just helped it tremendously.
Yeah, that's our latest feature set, Ted. And
I love that.
as an organization and company, kudos to Clint, our founder, and he's looking at our software to say, software is so underutilized. I've mentioned this many times before. What else can we do if we have these service AI agents going out and texting a customer, whether it's offering a pickup and delivery or mobile or whatever it may be? Well, what about if we reach out to those customers, said, hey, would you be interested in having your car appraised? And these are service AI agents that are trained. They feel like real people. We call them Daisy or Jess. We can change whatever name you want, but the name will go out. It'll text the customer. The customer will say yes, no, or not respond at all. But what we do find is that every service customer gets a text instead of a sales consultant or a vehicle acquisition manager on the service lane banging phones like it's happened in the past, or awkwardly walk out on the service
Okay.
drive and try to
Okay.
engage a customer at that moment to try to get an appraisal. We find a day before, we're getting really good results with that, and sending that communication out and getting that customer further down the funnel, asking them a series of questions, and then doing a warm handoff to like Nolan's GSM or
Yeah.
someone that's been assigned over there. And we're having dealerships buy as many as 15 to 25 cars a month just
Wow.
by simply
Wow.
turning this on off the service drive.
All right, gentlemen, last question for today. It's going to be a lightning round. Each of you, 1 minute, starting with Nolan and then over to Troy. Uh, what would you say to a fellow fixed ops director watching this segment right now, looking at service pickup and delivery and considering the software about Zapmoto? What would you say to them? Again, you've only got a minute. I'll start with Nolan. Again, what advice would you give them here? We're in the second quarter of 2026. So in today's era, Nolan first and then over to Troy to bring it home.
I would just tell them to sign up now. We were talking about what is the cost of offering pickup and delivery. Forget about the cost because you're getting a $200 plus uplift per repair order. The cost is built into that. Just jump in with both feet, be a player in the remote service space, and it will pay off for you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
straightforward.
Ted, for me, it's always been not here to come on your shows and platforms to sell my software. It's partnering with great operators and just learning together and educating. And if we can get everybody to see the benefit and the value of what this is and this offering, and my software works for them, great, fantastic. And we'll sit down and talk and about that. But again, this platform has been great for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring on Nolan to a show like this again.
Right. Everybody, if you want to reach out alongside your fellow industry colleagues who are doing service pickup and delivery, reach out to Troy Blackwell and Nolan. Troy Blackwell at Zapmoto. You could see his email scrolling across, Troy at zapmoto.com. That is the URL. Troy, I see a 949 number, says call or text. I know who lives in that 949 area. That's got to be you.
Yeah, that's Southern California down in Orange County, guys. But hey, my area code should say, Delta, because I'm on a plane a lot. So
You can call him early too, or text him early. I do. So
yeah, it's a sad thing about I've historically worked for East Coast companies, and they like to schedule 8 a.m. East Coast calls. So that's 5 a.m. here. So
he's up early though. But Nolan, that's our industry. Fixed ops, we're up early every day.
That's right. We certainly are.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for all you do for the industry and your insight. I look forward to having you back and learning more. We have a lot coming up on service pickup and delivery this year. On the Roundtable, you'll see Troy, you'll see Nolan on a whole lot more. We're coming to dealerships near you around the country. Troy Blackwell from Zapmoto, thank you for all you do for the industry, zapmoto.com. Nolan Armpriester, one of the great names in retail, thank you for all you do, my friend.
Thank you.
Everybody, Nolan Armpriester and Troy Blackwell here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.